Preparing for Christ's Millennial Government by Hyrum Andrus. Moroni informed Joseph Smith that certain preparatory developments must precede the millennium, including the preaching of the gospel unto all nations, the gathering of Israel, and the preparation of a people for the reign of Christ. To achieve fully the latter, the prophet later explained that a righteous political order must eventually be developed under the priesthood, capable of securing peace, prosperity, and freedom for all men. A concise statement of these topics is given below. The gathering of Israel. Joseph Smith announced that God had set his hand again the second time to gather and establish Israel. The modern remnants may be classified as the Latter-day Saints, the Jews, the American Indians, the lost tribes of Israel to return as a body from the north, and remnants of all tribes mixed among the people of the earth. Israel will be gathered to two great centers, the Old Jerusalem and the city of Zion, or the New Jerusalem, to be built in America. The remnant of Joseph and those identified with them will possess the western hemisphere, while Judah returns to Palestine. Those from the north will come initially to Zion, but will receive an inheritance around the Old Jerusalem. Eventually, the saints will inherit the whole earth. The prophets envisioned Israel's redemption as an era of new revelation, when fishers and hunters would gather and seek out the scattered remnants amid great judgments upon the nations. While it commenced with the restoration of the gospel, Israel's redemption will come largely after the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. In that day, the Lord's power, when his fury is poured out without measure upon the wicked, his spirit will rest upon the scattered remnants, and they will be gathered and saved. They will then worship their God, Jesus Christ, in the true way, while Israel's divine social, economic, and political order is developed upon the earth. Zion. Ephraim, the birthright tribe, must be gathered first, and by his ministry the inhabitants of Zion must be established upon the law of God. From Zion, deliverance will then go to all Israel. While Lehi's seed will participate in building the New Jerusalem, the majority of the Indian people will thereafter be converted and gathered. Meanwhile, amid great upheavals and geographic disturbances, the tribes from the north will come to receive their blessings from Ephraim. The New Jerusalem will be established fully upon Israel's social, economic, and political law, a system capable of uplifting the poor and establishing justice and freedom among men, as an ensign or standard to the world. Only by the practice of Zion's law, including the law of consecration and stewardship, can the saints be sanctified for Christ's advent among them to fulfill his promise. And the powers of heaven shall be in the midst of this people. Yea, even I will be in the midst of you. While warfare and turmoil prevail among the wicked in that future day, the New Jerusalem will be a land of peace, a city of refuge, and a place of safety for the saints. Eventually, by Zion's influence, peace will prevail upon the Western Hemisphere, wrote Parley P. Pratt, representing the 12. The city of Zion, with its sanctuary and priesthood, and the glorious fullness of the gospel, will constitute a standard which will put an end to jarring creeds and political wranglings by uniting the peoples of North and South America in one great and common bond of brotherhood, while truth and knowledge shall make them free, and love cement their union. Christ's reign on earth. During his appearances in Zion and later at Jerusalem, Christ will establish his government on earth. He will officially be given dominion at Adam on Diamond. From there, his political law will be extended abroad until the decadent nations gather at Jerusalem to oppose its influence. There, in the Valley of Decision, so named because of the issue to be decided, there will commence a struggle which the fate of the nations and empires will be suspended on a single battle. Victory by the Jews, through the advent of Christ, will change the political order in Europe and Asia, as Jerusalem will then become the great center and capital of the Old World. The corrupt systems of the Gentiles will be burned, and the dominion of the heathen nations will be taken away, but the cultures of the latter will remain for a time. The two branches of God's government will be coordinated at a great council held at Jerusalem. When fully established, the divine system will perfect the principles of the United States Constitution and adapt them to a world federation where the priesthood nominates men to office by the consent of the people and formulates the policies of government. Freedom in Republican forms will be preserved, and the saints will be protected in developing the laws of Zion. When God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven, a gradation of societies will thus exist, as in eternity, with Zion founded upon celestial laws, pointing the way to spiritual and temporal salvation, while those bearing the priesthood minister both as kings and priests in the kingdom of God. With righteousness shall Christ then judge the poor and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth, and men shall not hurt nor destroy in all his holy mount. The Millennium. Having fully established his millennial government, Christ will rend the mortal veil and appear in glory to all flesh. The brilliance of light and truth, or intelligence, manifest from his presence will cause the sun to hide his face in shame. While the elements melt with fervent heat and all corruptible things are consumed, that which remains shall become new, as the earth is endowed again with paradisiacal glory, the glory enjoyed before the fall. Christ's knowledge and glory will then quicken all life with the divine attributes of love, peace, and union. The enmity of man and of beasts shall cease. Satan shall be bound, and the powers of corruption that bring death shall be destroyed. Life will then blossom in perpetual youth until, at the age of a tree, men are changed in the twinkling of an eye to enjoy the greater glory of resurrected existence. The truth concerning this earth is organized. Its purpose and its destiny will be revealed in great detail. The bounds and limits of our universe will be explained, and the mysteries of God's relationship to deity will be made known, until the knowledge of God covers the earth as the waters cover the sea. Though Christ and the resurrected saints reign over the earth during the millennium, they will not dwell here, but will visit from time to time to govern and instruct them. The gospel will be preached in power until all men understand its saving truths, and its sealing powers will be utilized to organize fully the human family for eternity. Zion will spread abroad until the earth is united into one grand system of union and love, while peace and freedom reign. For all this, the gospel has been restored, and the saints are charged with a sacred obligation of teaching and practicing its divine truths. If you think this video is important, or you think other people might appreciate hearing it, please give it a like.